Hare Krishna, Namaste. Greetings to all the esteemed members of the Indian Embassy in Sweden, respected scholars, dear students, and the Indian community and all the devotees of Lord Krishna across the Nordic region. The Bhagavad-gita, though spoken 5,000 years back by Lord Krishna, is a universal guide that has offered clarity, purpose, and higher values of human life to people across the world. Krishna's message is universal, non-sectarian, beyond religions, and hence it had the appeal to everyone all over the world over centuries. The outreach of Bhagavad-gita to the common masses have happened on a large scale in the last 75 years, all over the world. This is because of the global efforts of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, who presented the Bhagavad Gita in its authentic form, today translated in over 100 languages. This has inspired the rise of the Hare Krishna movement, rooted in genuine spiritual principles, practiced by millions all over the world today. The Gita's message of righteousness, duty, and pure devotion and surrender to God remains relevant to every human being, even in modern times. The Gita teaches us that the inner harmony, peace, and happiness comes when we understand our true self as eternal spiritual beings, being different from these bodies. The external body and its social identity is only a temporary role-play identity that is meant to be ideally lived in line with the principles of Dharma. These principles, for instance, are internal and external cleanliness, practicing personal austerity, sacrifice, and control of one's mind, and showing compassion to fellow beings. The Bhagavad Gita guides us to act as per these principles, with a clear sense of responsibility and service. Prescriptions of Gita, if implemented in one's life, it brings absolute gain to one's eternal spiritual self in this body, as against the materialistic way of life of merely momentary gain and pleasures for this temporary body, which is available even to the animals. Gita teaches us that we, the true spiritual being in this body, should be the master of our external bodies, which exist temporarily between birth and death. Gita teaches us that we should drive our bodies to align with the spiritual purposes, rather than we becoming a servant of the forces of the body, like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, lust, anger, greed, illusions, pride, arrogance, enviousness, etc. The primary lesson of Gita begins with nishkama kritya, means performing one's duty for the sake of duty itself, without the sense of proprietorship or control over the results of one's actions. Nishkama karma does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means engaging wholeheartedly, but with freedom from self-centeredness, while offering one's duty as a tiny role play on the world stage, as a service to a larger universal order. When we execute our duties with sincerity for the sake of action itself, by being in the present without being disturbed by the emotional contemplation on the future or past about enjoying the fruits of actions, our mind becomes steady, our actions become purposeful, undistracted, and the heart experiences the peace of having done one's best. Such a person is not too emotional about the positive or the negative results of his action, because of his deep acceptance of the truth that everyone's control over the world outside himself is very limited. This harmony between universal well-being and individual action is what the world needs today. The principles of Dharma guide us how to achieve this alignment. Whether in personal life, in society, or in leadership, the Gita reminds us that peace is not achieved by mere external manipulation and arrangements, but by internal alignment, living with a clear understanding of one's prescribed duty and cultivating devotion and surrender to God, accepting Him as the supreme controller of everything and the dispenser of fruits of our acts in life. The law of karma is a subtle law of consequences of human action. The human being is endowed with not only freedom but also responsibility for the use or misuse of that freedom. Just as at the end of the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna gives Arjuna his freedom and he asks him, "Now I have spoken what I have to speak. Now it's for you to decide to fight or not to fight." The Bhagavad-gita also stands as the most systematic and practical science of self-realization. It explains not only who we are beyond the temporary body and the mind, but also how we can progress with a clear mind and resoluteness that stays steady even in the midst of different life challenges by being fixed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in absolute surrender. In this way, the Bhagavad-gita teaches us to act in accordance with our true identity as the eternal soul or spirit person, who is part and parcel of the whole. Krishna reveals to Arjuna that he is that whole person. Srila Prabhupada said, Gita is a love letter from God to all the suffering souls of this world, suffering due to ignorance of their individual divinity as children of God, the Supreme Father. Srila Prabhupada dedicated his entire life to presenting Bhagavad Gita in its original purity according to the authentic Parampara system. Through his translations, commentaries, and tireless personal guidance, he made Gita accessible and relevant to modern life. Because of his unbounded compassion and sacrifice, millions today are able to understand Krishna's message clearly and are able to apply it in their own lives all over the world. I use this occasion to urge each one of you to dive deeply into the message of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Reading even one divine verse of Gita a day will fill your day with divine grace of Krishna. I am happy to note the initiative of the Embassy of India in Sweden to organize this International Gita Mahotsav 2025. On behalf of ISKCON Bangalore and the International Krishna Consciousness Movement, we sincerely appreciate the Embassy, along with all its partner institutions, for creating a wonderful platform where the glorious teachings of Gita can be discussed and promoted to make the world a better world than the highly disturbed world that we see today. Events like the Gita Mahotsav play a valuable role in bringing this timeless wisdom to a global audience. They strengthen spiritual understanding, promote cultural bonds, and encourage thoughtful dialogue. May this celebration inspire sincere seekers of absolute truth to turn to the Gita, live by its timeless principles, and contribute to a more peaceful, balanced, and enlightened world. Thank you. Hare Krishna.